So I'm here with the lovely Michelle from Cell Charge, and I feel so privileged to have you on the show or on the podcast here today. You're actually my first interview with the Fresh Face
Yay.
Skin New podcast, Michelle. So thank you so
Excellent.
much for your time
Thank
and
you for having me.
for always being so willing to share your expertise with us.
Yeah, thank you, Amelia. Thanks for having me. It's so exciting to be here, and to be the first one is wonderful. I'm just keen to dive in and have a good chat about all
Yeah.
these good things we're going to talk about. So let's do it.
And educate these amazing people, this Fresh Face Skin community, about all things internal support. So for
Yes.
those that don't know, Michelle is a naturopath. She's a clinical nutritionist, a herbalist, and a PT. So it is quite impressive. It's such an impressive range of professions that you have, Michelle, but it's very evident that you have a complete commitment to
Yeah.
wellness in general within your
Yeah.
life. So
Absolutely.
talk us through, I guess, a little bit about your qualifications, your many qualifications, and the experience you have within this wellness health space.
Yeah, great. Okay. Well, I started studying actually, I was qualified in 2002. So, 22 years of being a naturopath, nutritionist, and herbalist, and all those things you just said. So, a PT actually goes back about 25 years ago. So, I embarked on a wellness journey quite some time ago, just knowing it was my calling and what I wanted to do, just to be able to help people. And my husband actually studied with me, so we're both qualified in the same things. And
Well,
so we sort of at a time lived together, worked together, studied together, worked at the cinemas together, traveled to
oh,
Sydney every day, doing our 12 subjects a day type scenario. We really did a lot of intensive study for 5 years, but did all that together, and then came out and stepped into a clinic together as well. So we bought
wow.
an established clinic, and it was by she's now one of the best iridologists that has ever been, and she's one of the best naturopaths as well. So we actually purchased her clinic, and we purchased the health food store, and then she retired, and so we just went straight into consulting, doing such like huge days as well. So to be someone who's fresh out of your studies, as you know, when you study, you think you've got it all and you know it all, but not until you put your feet on the ground and actually get into dealing with the people one on one that you learn even more from actually doing it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's when you're hands on. Yeah,
that's
seeing
right.
everything that there is and you're putting all of your knowledge actually into action.
That's
Hmm.
right. So that quickly spread to owning 4 health food stores,
Wow.
and having 2 clinics, and seeing, 16 patients a day or whatever it was, like 5 days a week each
Wow.
at the 2 clinics. And then Shannon and I just quickly knew that we needed to get into manufacturing as well. Took a little bit of time for
Yeah,
that to come
because we'll
about,
just throw
but
another
yeah.
thing. We'll just throw another thing on your plate.
Yeah,
Wow.
we saw what went on in the industry, and then isn't what's on the label isn't always what you get in the
Mhm.
bottle as well, right? So there are some discrepancies that can occur within manufacturing, unfortunately. So we were determined to be those ones that did things differently and made sure that we were involved from a product from the beginning to the end. You
Mm.
could call us control freaks, you could,
Yeah,
because
but I
we,
think you have to be in this space. Don't you agree? Like if you're passionate about
yeah,
what you're doing and what
yeah,
you're providing your clients and your people with, then you want to
yeah.
know with what you're providing is quality. And I
As you
think,
yourself being a
oh,
manufacturer
very
now.
similar. Very, very
Yes.
similar,
Yeah.
similar views on all of that because exactly
Yes.
like you have with supplements, because of your background, my background I have with skincare for almost the exact reasons.
Yes,
So again,
exactly.
I love being around women and people in general that have the same passionate views that are right for the consumer.
Yeah,
There needs to be
absolutely.
more
So
of us.
absolutely. That's right. So we wanted to make sure, because like we've tested other people's products before as well, just to see if it's to spec. And we just wanted to give people what we would only put in our own bodies as our
Yeah.
children's bodies, because I've got 3 children as well, as I know you know, but everyone else
Hmm.
doesn't know. So 3 kids as well, and it's very important what goes into their bodies. I'm very acutely aware that I'm creating their long-term health by what I do
Yeah.
for them when they're
Yeah.
little,
Yeah.
creating like the blueprint, if you will. So
Yeah.
that's really, really important to me that whatever we manufacture and make, it needs to be able to be put in anyone's body.
Yep, totally agree. And it's the same, you know, what you're putting in your body and what you're applying to skin, ultimately everything is absorbed. So if we
Yep.
can be a little bit more aware of what ingredients, what we're applying and what we're
Yeah.
consuming, and making sure it is premium, high quality, then we're treating our skin and our body with, I guess, everything it absolutely needs.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
important in this day and age. So on that, I mean, what an amazing background you have. And it's so evident, Michelle, how much passion and knowledge you have for what you do. But as a naturopath and a clinical nutritionist, herbalist and PT, what do you feel is lacking in, say, our foods, in our nutrition, in everything that what we consume, just in everyday life at the moment, that leads to a lot of, I guess, the health conditions or skin conditions that present to you as, say, a naturopath or a nutritionist?
Mm. So, well, what we found early on in our career, we actually found that was a lot of chronic disease happening in the world, and we were getting more and more patients with autoimmune conditions. And we were wondering why, with more knowledge than ever about health, people like, Dr. Google now and all these things that people do, like people are so aware of what they should be doing. They're either doing it or not doing it, or they are doing it and they're still presenting with
Mhm.
ailments. They're still presenting with conditions that they don't seem to be able to get a handle on.
Mhm.
So we found that there was a real issue with assimilation. So it was more about not just what people intake, but how they absorb it. Because
Mhm.
as you know, you could eat the food, but it doesn't mean you're going to absorb every element of
Mhm.
nutrition in that food, because it depends on so many other factors.
Well, I
So,
actually think a lot of people wouldn't know that, Michelle. You
okay,
know, I
yeah,
think a lot of people feel, well, I eat a really balanced diet. I mean, personally in the clinic, we get a lot of people even just talking about, yeah, their own nutrition and their omegas. Oh no, I eat enough, fruit and veg, or I eat
mm,
enough fish.
mm,
It's like, but how do you
mm,
actually know you've got the recommended amount of what you need
that's right,
entering the cell or your
that's
organs
right,
even,
that's
how do you
right,
know? You can only
that's
make the
right,
choices you can make, but how do you
that's
know
right.
what your body's actually receiving?
Exactly right. And if we take it back to how the body functions, we need about 40 micronutrients just for bodily functions. So those
Mm.
40 micronutrients, if we're not getting them on a day-to-day basis, like you're falling short straight away. Then you
And give us
couple,
an outlook of what that would approximately look like, Michelle. Like,
well,
what would you get
within,
that from? A
okay,
piece of
well,
fruit, two pieces of veggies, like
well,
just to give people an
yeah,
idea.
look, any of my patients that see me clinically, they need to eat between 6 and 8 cups of vegetables a day.
Mm,
That's just
it's a lot.
non-negotiable. And they
Yeah.
have to have a variety of colors throughout
Mm,
that 6 to 8 cups as well. It's not just go and have two of, let's have sweet potato and let's have broccoli and that'll
mm,
do. We need
mm-hmm,
all the different colors, and we
mm-hmm,
need the micro herbs as well. So it's not just about lettuce and cucumber and whatever. It's about, okay, can we have some sprouted alfalfa or some bean
mm-hmm,
shoots or something amongst that as well? So these phytonutrients are what are so, so important for giving us all these micronutrients, all these minerals that we need as well. So a lot of people feel that I eat healthy, but if we're going to go
mm-hmm.
back to that again, it's about being nutrient dense. So a lot
Yeah.
of people can be focused on calories, but just because something's got a certain amount of calories doesn't mean that's got the nutritional profile you need. Or
Mm,
say they say, oh, I eat, all these fruits and vegetables. Where do you buy them from? Do you get them from the farmer's
mm,
market? Do you get them from Coles or Woolies? Not
mm-hmm.
knocking Coles or Woolies, but do you know how long they've been stored and refrigerated
Yes.
for?
And what's been sprayed on them potentially to keep them?
Exactly. Where were
Mm-hmm,
they grown? What was the soil
mm-hmm,
like? Because a lot
mm-hmm,
of the times now, an apple may be grown a certain way and look like an apple, but it might have been stored for about 8 months in the fridge as well. Before you're
mm.
actually getting to eat it, you don't know what's happened to that piece of fruit, right? And we
And this is
can't,
why, this is
yeah,
why, Michelle, it's so important to get this education out there, because what we don't know, we don't know. And there's a lot of people out there that are so trusting of what they
yes,
buy is quality, but it's
yes,
not always the case. So this is why
no,
education is absolutely vital,
key,
to make
yes,
sure that you're making the best decisions you can and the most, I
yeah,
guess, educated
yes,
decisions as well.
yeah, 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 that's
It's
right. Because
really
even when
hard.
you It is hard, and that's why
Mm,
no one's perfect, right?
mhm,
Shannon and I, even with the knowledge that we both have together combined over 40 years, we're
mm,
not perfect. We don't
mm,
always get it right. However,
mhm,
we certainly are conscious about every decision that we're making and doing the best we can all the time to get it as right as we can possibly get it in today's modern world. Because
mm.
in today's modern world, we are up against it in that we have got a lot of reactive oxygen species potentials with, chemical exposures, depending on what occupation you're in. If you're a hairdresser, a painter, there's a lot more
Mhm,
exposure to those free radicals. Even if
mm,
you're not in a high tox environment at
mm,
work, you're breathing the same air we're all breathing. You're exercising, that creates more reactive
mhm,
oxygen species. Sorry, you're stressed, that creates more. The
mm,
food you've had might have, more than likely it's going to have some chemical sprays
mhm,
and like glyphosate and things like that sprayed on it. So then our
mhm.
body's going to deal with that as well. So the
So it's
number one,
constantly up against external
constant,
toxins and, yeah,
right. So even
harmful.
if you eat really well, you've got all that going on that you've got to deal
Yeah.
with as well.
So how do
And
you eat well and combat that daily
yeah,
stress,
so to
environmental
eat
stress? Yeah.
well, that's right. We've got to get back to the source. Like we've got to try and where you can, okay, you grow what you can. Like you grow some herbs, you know what I mean? Even if it's just that, grow some pots of herbs and put them in your foods because that ups the nutrition there. Eating a variety of different colors, eating that 6 to 8 cups of vegetables a day, trying to go organic where you possibly can, or at least
Mm-hmm.
spray free, going to the farmers markets. So there's so many different ways you can up your nutrient density in that respect. And also, then on the other side, looking at your exposure to those free radicals and thinking, how can I combat that? Because that's just a fact of life. And
Mm-hmm.
I know you like to go to the gym. I don't know how often you go, but I'll train 6 times a week. And I'm
Yeah.
aware that in that generation of that metabolic pathways, just from increasing energy production and doing and training and recovering and all that that's got to go on in your body when you're exercising,
Mm.
is you're generating more free radicals doing that as
Yeah,
well.
and I think a lot of people don't even know that, Michelle, and it's fair, you are a specialist in what you do. And until I guess people do the research themselves or listen to other podcasts or read up on all of this stuff, you don't actually understand how much our bodies are battling
Yeah,
against every single day, even
yeah,
if you are living a really balanced, healthy lifestyle as
mm,
best you can.
yeah, yeah,
So can you talk us through a little bit of what the body goes through when you even exercise? Because I feel like that's really interesting.
yeah. So when you're exercising, like there's different chemical processes that are happening. Obviously, you're increasing heart rate, so you've got the respiratory engagement. You've got the metabolic changes, so you've also got whether you're anaerobic and using more oxygen, sorry, aerobic and using more oxygen, or anaerobic and using more lactic acid as a byproduct. You're having these changes within your body. So when that happens, you're also losing water. So we've got the
Mm-hmm.
whole electrolyte,
Efficiency.
debacle, that
Yep.
we've spoken about
Mm-hmm.
recently. So you've
Mm-hmm.
got that to look at as well. But you've also got the fact that you're generating, because you're tearing muscle fibers and then your body's regenerating them later on and making them stronger. So through the actual muscle breakdown, when you're lifting a weight, for example, you're tearing that. The actin and myosin
That's
are
right.
working to contract the muscle, but you're also getting some myofibrillar like tearing. So your body's got to then repair that later on. But
Mm.
during that process of happening, it's all free radicals are being generated. Okay, so it's
Mm-hmm.
up to your body to have that storage of
Mm-hmm.
antioxidants there ready to go to actually
Mm-hmm.
combat and neutralize those free radicals.
Mm-hmm.
And if your body's got a good status of antioxidants and your enzymes are working well, and guess what enzymes need? Enzymes need minerals, the micronutrients to work properly. So if your
Mm-hmm.
micronutrient status is up and your antioxidants are up, then your body can deal with the stress created through exercise, because it
Mm-hmm.
is a stress on the body.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
And your
not
body
negate
then
that.
needs to recover and it needs the
That's
energy
right.
and everything it
That's
needs
right.
internally to then repair.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
So that's super
And
important.
And when it comes to, just quickly back on the food, when it comes to, you say you love your clients have 5 to 6, aim for 5 to 6 fruit and veg a day,
At
colourful.
least.
What are your
Yeah.
what are your go-tos that you recommend for, I guess,
Yeah.
Australian climate,
Yeah.
what we can access more easily in
Yeah.
terms of food?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm all about seasonal produce, Amelia, seasonally, everyone eating seasonally. And
Yeah.
this,
And why is
again,
that important,
yeah,
Michelle?
really important, because food is grown at certain times of the year for a reason, because that's when it's at its most ripest form with its most nutritional profile. So if we're choosing to eat something that's out of season, then it's not going to be its best nutritional profile. It's not
Hmm.
meant to be grown at that time of the
And it
year,
was
and
forced to grow.
we're cheating nature,
Yep.
right? And if
Yep.
we do get it imported from overseas, well, then we've got the shipment, and it's
Hmm.
stored, and it's transported, and it's gone through a heap of hands, and what's happened to it in the process, and
Hmm.
how long's it been put away for before you actually purchase it and put it in your mouth, and what's left in there when you do that.
Hmm. Really important to understand that. So seasonally is one of your tips. What's another one
Yep.
in terms of go-tos just for
Yep.
overall
Food. Yep.
well-being? Yeah,
Yep.
food.
Like kale. I'm massive on
Mm-hmm.
kale. Now, it's not everyone's cup of tea because of the
Hmm.
bitterness. However, there's different ways you can cook kale. So I
Hmm.
encourage people to bake it in the oven with a little bit of olive oil and sea salt. So
Yep.
doing some crunchy kale or air fryer,
Hmm.
putting it in salads and chopping it up really, really, really fine and putting it through your
Hmm.
salads. And then, of course, steaming it as well, or doing big pots of like stews and things like that. And then just put it in your stew and have it like
Hmm.
that as well. So any of the brassica family are wonderful and such a powerhouse of vegetables. The brassica family is like your broccoli, your cabbage, your Brussels sprouts, kale. All
Hmm.
these guys are so nutrient dense. They're
Hmm.
superfoods in their own right. So they've got a lot of chlorophyll, a lot of antioxidants, a product called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is really good for helping the liver to combat free radicals and toxins.
Hmm.
Also good for hormonal imbalancing, because you get a bit of indole 3 carbinol in the broccoli, which broccoli then becomes a powerhouse for women with hormonal problems and imbalances.
Amazing.
So massive on the brassica, but I'm going to say caution to people with an underactive thyroid, because if you have an underactive thyroid, you don't want to have a lot of brassicas, because the brassicas can have a goitrogenic effect, meaning stop your iodine uptake in the thyroid. And that's if
Interesting.
if you're eating them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so just to be aware of that. And it just
Yeah.
shows you, Michelle, I mean, you'd know this is your clinical nutritionist coming out, but there's so much power in nature and what nature
Mm,
provides. And if we
that's,
lean in a little bit closely to our research around food and how it can help and assist the body,
mm,
we have medicine at our
we
back
do.
door. Do you know what I mean?
We
It's
do.
just
We
about
do.
it's just about knowing how to get it and how
Yes.
to understand where it's coming from to make the right
Yeah.
choices around what you're actually providing your body with. But it's
Yes.
right there. There's
It's
such a
right there.
power.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just getting
Yep.
all that color, because all the colors which you see, they have high polyphenolic content, and the polyphenols are what are real strong in antioxidant activity. They're the ones that are going to help get rid of that reactive oxygen species and really help get the cells back to homeostasis, like balance again.
Balance.
So, yeah.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for sharing so much knowledge around that, because I feel like, I mean, you would talk about it all the time, but it's like anything, what we talk about, we start to realize that a lot of people wouldn't actually know even the smallest part of what you're talking about, the basics. So it's so
Yeah.
nice to just dive into a little bit of your
Yeah.
tips and your knowledge
Yeah.
around nutrition and how important it is, and even just free radicals like you were talking
Yeah.
about, and just how common and how up against free radicals we are 24
Yeah.
7 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
true that we even create free radicals when we breathe in oxygen. Isn't
That's
that
right.
true?
It's exactly right, through respiration, cardiac
Just
metabolism as
breathing.
well. We're generating them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we endogenously make our own free radicals through all those
Mm-hmm.
metabolic processes, but
Mm-hmm.
then we also exogenously, meaning outside our body, it's the environmental, it's the workplace, it's lifestyle, what we choose to breathe in, or if people smoke or drink or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
What
Yeah.
we're exposed to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which brings me on to my next topic, my next focus for today's chat, which is cell charge.
Oh, yeah.
And it is absolutely my favorite supplement ever. We stock it at Fresh Face Skin Clinic. We now stock it online, and it's something that I've had in my daily routine now for, I would say, easy 2 years.
Yeah.
And look, initially, I'll give you all an insight. Initially, I was sleeping better. Obviously, I've been taking it so continuously now.
For
It's
so
just
long.
part of my
Yeah.
life. I don't know what
Yeah.
I feel like without it. even when I went overseas for 9 weeks, I had it with me. But initially I was sleeping a lot better, and I found in the afternoon I didn't have the dip of tiredness, like that lack of
Yep.
energy in the afternoon. That's what I
Yes.
personally noticed the most.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I've always had a fairly strong immunity, but I would say
Yep.
that I mean, I'm never sick. So
Yeah.
obviously, and I love the fact that I can double up on cell charge morning and night when I am really
Yes.
busy, and I'm probably not eating the way I should or as regularly as I should, or I'm stressed. You know, I know my
Yep.
nervous system's up, so I know I can double up for more immune support then.
Yes.
But
Yep.
before,
Yep.
I mean, you guys may not even know what cell charge is. So why don't I hand it over
Yeah.
to you,
Okay.
Michelle, and we talk a little bit about your
Okay.
baby, cell charge. One of your
Okay.
babies.
Yeah, that's right. One of my babies, my first baby, actually.
Your first baby.
This baby came before the other three babies. So
Mm.
Cell Charge was passion project basically. It was never intended to be a marketed product. That's the
Mhm.
irony about the whole thing. So if you
Mm.
knew Shannon and myself, you would know. I'm not talking to you, Amelia, because you know us, but I'm talking to
Mm.
everyone else at the moment. If you guys knew
Mhm.
us, you would know that we are very authentic, loyal, passionate, truthful people, right? So we only do things that we truly believe in and that we really want to help people, because we
Mhm.
became clinicians before even the internet, basically, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, we were always in it
Mhm.
just for the reasons of we just knew we needed to help people.
Yep.
So when it came to manufacturing, we started dipping our toe into that. We kind of like thought we want a protein powder, because I'll get to that, but I love working on muscle and maintaining muscle, because I know how much it's important for our longevity, and particularly as
Mhm.
women.
Mhm.
So we kind of dabbled in that, and we had our health food stores, and we're like, you know what, we just get all these people with chronic diseases that have been elsewhere. And we just saw a common theme that there was a lot of gut problems, a lot of gut permeability, people with just really leaky guts. That's when
Mhm.
the lumen is like almost like Teflon coating, and it gets little holes through it, and it just, everything gets into the bloodstream instead of staying in the actual gut intestinal tract.
Mhm. Mhm.
So Shannon was doing some trips overseas to America, just always going to these big health expos over there, like they're massive. And it's all about the leaders, in manufacturing and like pushing boundaries and new products and all of that. So he was going back over there and back over there and back over there. And then he just came across and he got connected with some people. And then we found our rare earth deposit, which is now Cell Charge, which wasn't Cell Charge. It was just a product that we were like, oh, we need this. Our patients need this. It was all about our clinic needs this, right?
Yep.
And we just knew people needed this. And so once we started giving it to these patients with the chronic diseases, we just found that everything for them worked better. It was like the glue, the missing glue.
Mhm.
It's like the supplements that they were taking that should have been doing exactly what they should have been doing weren't working as well for these people, because their gut permeability wasn't great, and their assimilation,
Mhm.
their ability to assimilate these nutrients wasn't happening. Once we stuck the Cell Charge in there at the time, which was just a no-name product, just in a little bottle with no label, no nothing,
Mm.
they were like, I don't know what this is, but look at me. And they were just
Magic.
like,
Mm.
honestly, even one remarkable story with a lady, she had a whole ankylosing spondylitis. It was an autoimmune disease. And she was so limited in her mobility, and she'd shuffle into the clinic and sit down, aching all over. And she was being treated holistically, of course, because that's what we do. But this is like the foundational product that I believe that everyone needs to start with, because it just does help with everything to adhere together. It's like a synergy. It's got all the micronutrients, which just help everything work better. And so
Mm.
anyway, once she started adding that in, it
Mm.
was even a week-ish later, she was like walking better into the clinic and sitting down. It's like, wow, like just
Wow.
things that you would think we're making it up, but seriously. So we were
And
just
this
like
is 100% natural,
100%
literally
natural,
pulled from the earth. Would you say that? Yep.
naturally grown from the earth,
Mm. Mm.
nothing adult, nothing added into there, nothing played and toyed with, or no emulsifiers. Some
Mm.
companies that claim to be a sprinkle of what Cell Charge is, they may say,
Mm.
oh, we're fulvic acid. But when you just fulvic acid like that, then okay, you've got to actually, there's only a few rare earth sites left. We've got one of the main
Mm.
ones. Okay,
Yeah, I
that's
find
earth.
that even incredible.
Yeah.
I
And it
mean,
hasn't been
you own an
touched.
earth site and you
Hasn't
drill
been
into it,
touched.
don't you, every few
Well,
years?
we
Is that
get
right?
into there. It takes 2 years for each
Mm.
batch to be made because you've got to carefully harvest it out. If you're aggressive with it, with heavy machinery like drilling and things like that, you actually destroy the fulvic acid, or you at least dilute it right down, but you destroy the organic acids. So there's some companies out there that will say, oh, we're fulvic acid. And I'm definitely not here to rubbish anyone else because that's not what we're about either. But I just don't want there to be confusion over what
Still
cell charge is.
education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cell charge is a fulvic acid product, yes. However, it's not just a fulvic acid product. It has fulvic-bound minerals, which makes it yield 13 organic acids, 22 antioxidants, 18 amino acids. It's 38 electrolytes, and it's got 83% oxygen because it's a naturally made product. If we wanted to cut corners, we could have production done in months rather than 2 years, and then you'd be left with no organic acids at all, and you'd be left with no fulvic-bound minerals, and you'd be left with some fulvic acid, yes, but then I'd have to ask you, Amelia, to go and take 2 to 3 tablespoons of it per dose. Yeah, so that's the
So
difference.
you want to have it all in the bottle, which is what I love about Cell Charge. It's just such a compact, rich,
it's very complex.
liquid magic gold. It's just got everything it needs in it. And I think the perfect way to explain your supplement Cell Charge is it just enhances
It does.
your nutrition absorption or your naturopathy, or if you're seeing a nutritionist, it's just enhancing the effects of your treatment and also what you're putting in your mouth. Would you agree with that?
100%, but let's not negate one of its big powerhouses is the polyphenolic complex. So when I talk about polyphenols and being the powerhouses of antioxidants, Cell Charge has its complete array of polyphenols in it. So the reason why they're so powerful too is because we're dealing with crops, plants and things that don't exist anymore. As in we've had that mine site, that rare earth deposit, right, for so long, but it's 34 million years old as well. Now, I know that sounds like I'm a complete nutter right now, because even when I first learned that, I was like, how can that be possible? But the thing is, that's a piece of land that hasn't been touched. Just like
which is so rare.
Years, where
we've planted, that's so rare because we turn and turn and
turn it over. And
Yeah.
that's the thing, right? And because this hasn't been touched in that way, only to harvest out to make cell charge, what has happened over the millions of years is all that decaying plant matter goes down into the earth and then reabsorbs and connects back into the earth again, right? And then all the nutrition out of that plant goes back into the soil, and then the soil microbes have a party, and then they make that fulvic acid.
Wow. It's actually quite amazing, Michelle.
It's phenomenal. It honestly is phenomenal.
And I think when you really think about, which I hadn't even thought about until I initially met you and we were talking about Cell Charge and why it's so important and how it's so different to everything in the market and how it also amplifies your nutrition. I had never really thought about crops and how we actually even farm our food and how much that dirt has been turned over and how much it may lack because of that. It was something I had just never thought of. But think about it, like how we meant to feed the world and still keep nutrition how it was 100+ years ago. It's depleting, isn't it? Every time we turn it over.
Yeah, we've got they say 60 harvests left, 60 years. And then after that, we're hydroponics,
Scary.
So it is scary. And I want people just to stop and think a moment about that dirt that you said, because when things are growing in the ground, there's a whole life under there that we don't even see. It's just like the ocean. Now they say most of the living organisms are in the ocean, not above land, below land. It's the same with the soil. There's so much microbial activity that's going on under there in a healthy crop. But when crops are grown for yield and profits and all those sorts of things,
and just turned over quickly.
And they destroy the microbial powerhouses underneath. So when they destroy those microbial powerhouses, it means the plants then rely on NPK like fertilizers just to help them grow. And it's almost like liken it to someone who's hooked on drugs or medication.
They need it.
They need it to keep going. They need it to prop up. They need it to survive and do the normal behavioral things.
And for us, we're potentially then digesting artificial preservatives. Would you say fertilizers as well?
Glyphosate, 100%. And because we're all, even if we think if we're eating organic, there's still some runoff from other neighboring crops that can happen.
Yeah.
It can be in our water. So we really don't know exactly how much this can be impacting us. We just know, as clinicians, we know the rise of chronic disease is huge.
And inflammation in the body.
And inflammation, because that's a chronic disease. Inflammation causes chronic diseases. Gut health, we know all the gut conditions that we see as well. ADHD, all those things. There's a lot going on in the environment. Like with the soil, we've really stripped a lot of what it was. Nature had it right. Nature had the microbial activity there to feed the plant, to grow it stronger and more colourful. And then crops that were planted near each other would combat the pests and the pathogens, the threats to that plant. But there's no time in farming to do that now. They want to do it fast.
No, there's not. We've got too many people that need to eat, but and also want every bit of food every day of the year as well.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it makes me sad when I think about it, because it makes me realise, we're so smart as humans, but we're too smart.
Yeah.
We are.
That's right. And
sometimes we create things that we don't need, and then it ends up failing us. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that is another story. That's what I say to my patients as well. Like, if you get out of your head and get out of your own way, your body actually knows what it needs to. If you intuitively can just listen, you'll know if you need that rest instead of going to the gym. You'll know if you need more sleep instead of just pushing through. Like we do. We can be quite intelligent, but we, like you say, can often be focused on the wrong things.
Yeah, and distracted as well.
Yes.
So when you break down cell charge, just briefly for our listeners, Michelle, what would you say are its key benefits?
Okay, nutrient absorber. So it's going to help you absorb everything better. Everything. Whether it's medications you take, other supplements, food you ingest, it's going to help everything absorbed. But much, much better. It can absorb up to 60 times its weight. So it means it carries up to 60 times its weight into the cell. That piggybacks all these nutrients and just pushes them straight into the cell for you.
Where they need to go.
Yeah. Antioxidant, absolute powerhouse of antioxidants. So it's going to help mop up all those free radicals. So we know if we've got less antioxidants, we've got less inflammation. If we've got less inflammation, we've got less destruction of the cells, and then we've got less tendency to have chronic disease. And we've also got more longevity if we've got more antioxidants as well. So it's a longevity supplement, and it's also a prebiotic. So it helps to feed that gut microbiome. The gut microbiome is your map basically for how healthy your body's going to be. It's your barometer, if you will. It'll let you know, and everything starts at gut health, where as naturopaths and nutritionists, it's all about the gut health. So to feed that gut bacteria is just as important as or even more important, when people try and put probiotics in. They're putting that home in, but how do you know that
it's the right it's the right
it's the right strain,
bacteria? And I say this to clients, and again, for those that are listening that may not understand what a pre and a probiotic is, do you want to quickly just explain that to our listeners, Michelle?
A prebiotic means it goes in before the microbiome or to assist the microbiome. So for example, say you think your gut microbiome is fairly healthy, but you're feeling a bit bloated and thinking, I feel a bit gassy, not quite right. Well, a prebiotic is going to come in and feed the bacteria. So it's going to give it fuel, because the microbiome, to be healthy, they need fuel. So particularly the bifidobacterium, we need more bifidobacterium quite often in our gut, and the polyphenolic content of cell charge being so high feeds that gut bacteria. So then it's going to proliferate, and they're going to make more of each other, and they're going to be really happy and thrive, and then have that good connection to your skin, because we all know about that gut skin axis. Yeah. So it's really important for that. So probiotic, on the other hand, is putting in strains of bacteria into your gut, little microorganisms, and hoping that they take, and hoping that you chose the right one. Because I can tell you now, as a naturopath, there's about at least 25 different strains, 30 different strains.
So how do you know if you're feeding your gut what it needs?
That's exactly right.
Guessing game.
So to me, that is very much guessing, unless you've got the advice from someone who knows what one you should choose. Even still, if you're having a probiotic, you still need to do the prebiotics. Other prebiotics are taking in fiber. So fiber is really important as well. And I think most people would do to up their fiber. Most people don't have enough fiber, and most people don't poo enough. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
something that everyone talks about, I know, but I talk about it like, as you know, I'm talking about having what I had for lunch, so it's no big deal. But like really, you need to
How
be
did you poo
pooing
today, Michelle?
you need to be pooing quite a lot. You do.
Yeah.
Like you really, back in the old days of when I started consulting, we, we got told off our teachers, like that whole forearm, your forearm, that's how much fecal matter a day that you should be excreting.
Wow.
I know, and I don't mean in one go, right? I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
say,
yeah. But in numerous. Yeah.
yeah.
And would you
So,
say at least twice a day would be,
well, again, it depends what works for that person because it
yeah,
depends
it's
how much
different.
they eliminate in that
Yeah.
turn. So, ideally, every day, obviously, absolutely every day. If someone's listening and they're not pooing every day, up your
Yeah.
fiber right now. And obviously, there can
Mm-hmm.
be other things that you need to do, but you need to get your fiber up. You need to get your water up, and you need to get moving, and maybe need to do some dry skin brushing and other things as well. Get that lymphatic system going, which is so
Mm-hmm.
interconnected with skin, as you
Mm-hmm.
know. But yes, twice a day be ideal for
Mm-hmm.
elimination,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely once. So a
And then
lot
the
of skin,
forearm.
yeah, a day. A lot of skin conditions can be fixed up a lot, as you would be aware as well, just if people are going to the toilet properly, So
Mm.
going to the toilet, and I don't
And
mean
detoxifying,
toilet, like going
releasing.
properly,
Yeah.
and it needs to
Yeah.
be firm. It needs
Yeah.
to be mostly in one piece, not these
Yeah.
little rabbit pellets.
Yeah.
Not hard to pass. Just sort of
Yeah.
needs to be, but not runny either. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really important to look at your poo and figure out, right, okay, is this a decent size? Is it sinking? Because that means you digested fats properly. What's it
Mm-hmm.
doing? Because that's all going to determine how good your skin's going to be as well.
Mm-hmm. So internally linked. Like
Yeah,
the more we talk about internal versus external, it's absolutely
yeah,
internal, which is why when
so
clients
much.
come to see us, if it's been a skin condition or really any skin condition, we know it's coming from somewhere. So
Yeah,
for
that's
us
right.
as skin therapists, we're little investigators, but it does get
Yes,
to a point where if we have the question of, how long has this been a skin issue and it's been months and months and months, well, they need internal care. So this is where we
yes,
do work so closely with naturopaths in the clinic because it's so
yeah,
important. Your skin will
yeah,
excrete toxins and build
that's
up
right.
and debris if your body isn't properly.
That's right.
And it will also tell you what's going on internally. It'll give you signs.
Yeah,
So you need to
yeah,
listen
yeah,
to
yeah.
it. Mm.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to mention too, when you're talking about skin, Amelia, the that cell charge, because it has 13 organic acids, it can be used
Mm.
topically as
I
well.
know, and that's what I love
Yeah.
about it. I mean, I haven't done it a lot, but for clients especially that come in with acne, as long as it's not
Yeah.
really open
Yes.
acne, but
That's
a
right.
lot of inflammation, acne, and they need that,
Psoriasis.
topical anti-inflammatory, but also
Yeah.
that bacteria relief as
Yes.
well.
It's
We do
antibacterial.
recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Mm,
then being anti-inflammatory and antibacterial, antimicrobial, that's what you get from the
mm,
organic acid. So even with
mm.
cold sores, putting on the cold
Yes.
sore, putting on those breakouts that aren't too,
Yep, just a
festive or
spot
whatever.
treatment.
Yeah,
Yep.
spot treatment. But we recommend it has, like, as much as they can. It's a little bit of a stain when you put it on, of course, but trying to do that a couple of times a day,
Yeah.
whilst taking it internally is the quickest way to
And
eliminate
then you're
that.
doing the external and internal. Yep. For
Yeah,
quicker
that's right.
results.
Yeah, definitely.
So to finish up today, Michelle, what are your 3 top tips that you personally have when it comes to maintaining overall health and well-being? And obviously we know when we're maintaining our well-being and our health, our skin reflects that. So if you
Yeah,
had 3 top tips in your profession, what would they be? I know it's not a
three.
lot.
It's very hard to pick three, right? Like really hard. Okay, so antioxidants, right? I swear by antioxidants just for longevity, energy, metabolism, skin health, hair, because as you know, hair and skin are connected. So yeah, very much the antioxidants. So definitely having adequate antioxidants and eating nutritionally dense. When we touched on that, like nutritionally dense, just knowing that you've got maximum micronutrition
Mm-hmm.
every time you eat. It's easy to get your macros, it's harder to get your micros, and they're essential, and your body can't make them. Okay, so just
Mm-hmm.
like your omega 3s, your body can't make, you can't make the micronutrients. You can't make the minerals. You've got to get them. So
Mm-hmm.
eating really micronutrient dense, like eating nutrient dense food, meaning lots of different vegetables and your fruits. Trying to go for like fish and your
Mm-hmm.
lean cuts of like organic or grass fed meats and just trying to get as much color into every
Mm-hmm.
meal as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
then
you
on a
mentioned
nut,
herbs too, which I loved, like
yeah,
fresh
yeah,
herbs where you can as
herbs.
well.
Cut
Mm-hmm.
cut them up and put them through your meal, and it just makes
Mm-hmm.
everything not only taste better, but I mean, you're eating a living thing that was growing in your garden like 10 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just get that connection back to nature that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
Eat as much whole food as you can, because so many of us
Mm-hmm.
still grab for something that's in a packet because
Yeah.
it may be easier.
Yeah.
Please resist the urge to do that often, and please resist the urge to use a microwave. Now,
Yes.
call me
Actually,
crazy, but
that's a whole nother
it's
conversation.
a
But
whole other one.
would you
I don't.
agree with me by saying that the microwave or the radiation from the microwave basically just removes
Oh,
all the nutrition in your meal?
yeah, look, you know
It
what?
cooks it.
Totally agree, but there's that many. I'm sure there's a conspiracy out there with the government or something, because you try and look this up and research it.
Yeah, you can't
Like
find it,
a
can you? It's
long time ago,
blacklisted.
it was there. It's not there
I
now. I think
know.
fact checkers have found it.
I
So
threw my microwave out about 2 years ago. So we don't use a microwave. We use the old just the
that's
stainless
it.
steel
That's
cooktop
it.
and
That's
high
it.
quality at woks. Just you have to
Yep.
go back to the basics because even those of you that spend all this money on these pre-made, packaged, nutritious
Yeah.
meals, which there's some amazing like Ayurvedic meals out there now. What's the
Yeah.
point if you're throwing it in a microwave?
Yeah. That's right. That's
You're
exactly
trying to make a
right.
good choice. I get it. So you're trying to
Yeah.
get something that's nutrition and that's fresh, it's nutrition rich, fresh, but then you put it
Yep.
in a microwave with plastic
Yep.
to heat it
Oh
up,
God. Yeah. It's
So
it's
just
right.
being aware of that too.
Yeah, because then it's like from the plastic as well. There's those xenoestrogens, which are
Mm.
harmful estrogens. You're putting that
Mm-hmm.
in, and then you've got the radiation aspects and the denaturing
Mm-hmm.
of the proteins getting denatured by being heated in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's lots of things, right? You are right. It's another topic, but I'll just say to everyone, I've never had a microwave, and I've got 3 kids, and I've had them all. Like babies and everything, trying to do the baby food, all that sort of stuff from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
I did it. I never had a microwave. Never used a microwave on the stove. That's it.
And yeah, it's tough. It's harder when you're tired and you've got to wait and you've got to make baby food from
Yeah.
scratch in a
Yeah.
processor. But these are
Yeah.
just little decisions. And the power is it's time. And yes, it can be money as well. But in the long term,
Yes, it's
if
your
you can
health. It's your
try,
health.
yeah, it's your body.
Yep.
Let's just take a step back and realize what we put in our mouth is what we
Yep.
are.
Yep.
And it's our body. And at the end of the day, if our health was taken away tomorrow and we couldn't get out of bed, we would want to do everything we possibly
Everything.
can
And we
to
see
make
those
sure that we
doctors.
look after our
Yeah.
body. But it's because we naturally as humans take advantage of that. So it's
Yep.
just important sometimes to sit back and go, what can I change in my life that's going to allow my body to
Yep.
perform at its best? And how can I look after my body internally at its best?
That's right. And it's what you absorb too. It's not just what you are, what you absorb, I like to say.
Mm-hmm.
What you absorb, because it depends how well you're absorbing it, and how well you're absorbing it's going to be how you treated your body, or
Mm-hmm.
what genetic predispositions may you have as well, right? That could impair your absorption too. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the last thing that I like to say to people is move, exercise.
Yeah.
Exercise sweats things out, gets the toxins out, get your energy up, obviously, dopamine, feel good chemicals, and longevity in maintaining muscle mass is really important for women, particularly, but men and women, to make sure that we don't have sarcopenia, which ends up being like death from muscle loss, basically falls and things like that that
Mm-hmm.
can happen.
Especially as women, like you mentioned earlier, after menopause, our calcium
Yes.
and, our muscles, everything
Yep.
depletes. So if
That's
we can
right.
keep moving, keep strengthening and that muscle
Yep.
training up as we get older, it's
Yep.
really important. And by
Yep.
no means, I'm sure there's people that were listening earlier thinking, oh, exercise just sounds like it's got so many, cons against the
Yeah,
body.
yeah,
That
yeah,
the pros outweigh the
yeah.
cons 10 times.
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
Absolutely.
just remembering that too.
Yeah, and there's definitely the cons of reactive oxygen species by doing exercise is just because everything's sped up, or you're moving
Mm,
more, right? Your body's got to
mm.
metabolize and do more.
Work faster,
So it's
harder.
definitely
Yeah.
not a negative. It's just a byproduct of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, positive, as you just said, far outweigh, and the longevity.
Mm-hmm.
It's even like grip strength. Did you know your grip
Mm,
strength determines your lifespan? So people with really
mm,
poor grip strength have a less
mm.
less lifespan than someone with
Yeah,
good grip strength.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow. That's amazing. That's an amazing fact.
Yeah,
That's why some, I know there's some good chiros out there that do grip strength
really
tests
important.
during consults
Yeah,
and
yep,
follow-ups and things like that. Yeah, for that,
yep,
probably that reason.
yeah, definitely. Yes, so that's
Michelle,
us,
you
hey?
are a world of knowledge, and I'm sure our listeners got so much from that chat today. Look,
Oh, good,
if
I
you
hope
got
so.
one piece of information, which I would be shocked because I'm sure there's so much more than you got from that, but even if you just got one,
Yeah, yeah,
we've done our
yeah,
job today just by educating
yeah.
you on how to support your body and your skin internally. So thank you for your
Um,
knowledge, for your passion, for
my
what you
pleasure.
contribute to this industry, the
Yeah,
health industry as well. We really appreciate you, Michelle.
thank you. I'm grateful to be talking to you and a part of it. So, yeah, I'm here anytime. Let's jump on another
I feel
time,
like
maybe,
we
and
need
do
to
another.
do another one. I've already got a little idea of what the topic should
We
be.
can do another one another time.
Yeah. Thank you so
Good.
much.
Okay,
We'll speak
pleasure.
again soon.
Thanks, Amelia. See you everyone. Bye. Bye.